Ukraine's pro-democracy Euromaidan protests began in November last year. And 1 year on, we're here in Kyiv at the Tiger Conference, organised by the Kyiv Post, where security, defence, economics and the information war surrounding the Kremlin's invasion of Crimea and incursions into eastern Ukraine are high on the agenda. Diplomats, business leaders and special guests were among several hundred who attended the conference, where international experts discussed the challenges and opportunities which face an EU membership aspiring Ukraine. The West has been alarmed by Russia's actions in Ukraine, which began with the invasion of Crimea in February, shortly after the ouster of Kremlin-loyal former Ukrainian President Viktor Yanukovych. Global security experts at the seminar generally agreed that an overhaul of Ukraine's state military and defence sector was crucial. There was consensus that the Ukrainian military cannot win the conflict in the east of the country without aid from the West, which will only come if and when Ukraine is able to convince its international partners that it's serious about reform. Ukraine's expenditure on national security and defence for the past few years is less than 1% of GDP, the lowest of any European nation. With the country confronted by the superpower military might of the Russian Federation, there is now a major push to revitalise the Ukrainian armed forces. The former commander of the US Army in Europe, Lieutenant General Mark Hertling, says he's optimistic Ukraine can overcome Russian President Vladimir Putin's efforts to destabilise the country and prevent it from leaving the Kremlin orbit.
Yeah, he will continue to prod, and unfortunately, he'll use military forces to do that. And I think the critical requirement we have to pursue victory is to continue to look at other ways. Diplomacy, which is occurring, information, which is occurring, economics. If you can use those things along with military force, which Ukrainian forces in the east have done, I think it will be critical in countering what Mr. Putin has been doing.
Russia's new type of hybrid warfare in Ukraine, which involves the use of fighters without insignia, alongside the deployment of economic levers and mass media disinformation campaigns, has alarmed the international community. Hertling believes that Putin has been surprised by the scale of the international response, which has seen the Kremlin isolated using sanctions and diplomatic rebuffs. Putin's new art of warfare, do you think this will have implications on other global conflicts?
I don't. And first of all, I wouldn't consider it an art. I would consider it a little bit of a stumbling. He has seen that it's a referral back to just the use of military force. And that's not what modern nations do. And he's beginning to suffer the consequences for that.
Ukraine's soldiers on the front line have surpassed expectations over the past 8 months of conflict, but terrorism alone will not be enough to defend the country from the Russian threat. This year's Tiger Conference has reiterated the need for far-reaching reform of the Ukrainian defence sector. Until Ukraine's international partners are convinced that the country is serious about reform, they will remain hesitant to offer their full support. This is Tom Bell in Kiev for Ukraine Today.